Welcome to the Distinctive Dermatologist, the podcast for professionals in dermatology. Our goal is to help your practice stand out and deliver the ultimate experience for your patients, so they schedule repeat visits and refer your practice to their friends. We're here to help your practice become more profitable. Here's your host, 7-time best-selling author, in-residence faculty member at High Point University, Hall of Fame professional speaker, and member of the Sales and Marketing Hall of Fame, Scott McKain.
Hi, this is Scott McKain, and welcome to this week's edition of the Distinctive Dermatologist. And because I've had a crazy travel schedule this week, and I've met with bad weather and mechanical delays and missed flights, I had to reschedule interviews with dermatologists that we'll pick up with future editions. But one of the things that occurred to me now that we're in a video format for this weekly podcast, The Distinctive Dermatologist, one of the things that struck me is in the years that we've been doing this, almost we're in our season 4 right now, 4 years into this podcast, I've never shared the information that I deliver to organizations across the nation, around the world. I've spoken on platforms in all 50 states and 40 countries talking about the importance of creating distinction and delivering the ultimate customer experience. One of the things that a lot of folks in healthcare have a difficult time digesting and comprehending is the fact it's the same people at the companies that I speak for, whether it's BMW, Porsche, Apple, to Pizza Hut, to Napa Auto Parts. The customers that are doing business with those clients of mine are the same folks that are coming to your dermatology practices. And we've done extensive research into the subject that shows that these customers don't base their evaluation of your dermatology clinic on the other healthcare experiences that they've had. They base it on the totality of experiences they've had as a customer. So in other words, your competition isn't just another dermatology practice. It's not just another healthcare practice. It's the experience that they have when they stay in a Marriott hotel or when they buy a Ford pickup truck. And that's really difficult for folks in the medical profession to understand. I get that. You have trained in your specialty. You are an expert in your specialty. But the challenge is that is not how today's consumer of any industry, whether it's automotive or retail or healthcare, is making their decisions. So because I didn't have a chance to speak with a dermatologist this week and talk specifically about dermatology, I thought it might be an appropriate time over 3 years, almost 4 years into this podcast to share with you excerpts from presentations that I've given about this topic of the experience and about creating distinction. So here's a little bit of what I do from the platform for other groups. But I would emphasize to you that the principles of this work for your practice and work in dermatology just the same.
Because how you connect is going to make all the difference in the success of your business. So my assignment this morning is to tell you a little bit about how I discovered and worked on what it takes to become an iconic organization and reveal to you what we found in the research of what it takes to move your store, not just from good to great, but from great to iconic, because great is not good enough in today's world to distinguish yourself from the competition. So simultaneously, I was doing some work with the Fairmont Corporation. This is the Fairmont Scottsdale Princess. The CEO of this property came to me and said, Scott, if you go on TripAdvisor, here's our competition. We are overwhelmed with competition. Do you feel that way sometimes in your business? How do we stand out when competitors are all around us? What can we do to achieve the ultimate level of distinction? And that's how I began the process to try to learn what were the factors that could make your business and my business and their business an iconic organization. So my job this morning is to share with you from the research what we found are the 5 factors of iconic performance. Here's factor number 1, play offense. In other words, know your competition, but don't concentrate on them. Play the game your way. What we found is so many organizations, regardless of size, from our small town grocery store to the Apple, they often focus on what others in the industry are doing. Because I believe the opposite of courage is not fear. The opposite of courage is conformity. Doing the same thing over and over again. In other words, the way that we win is by playing the game our way. Every moment that we are defending ourselves against competitive pressure wastes a moment we could be innovating to make them irrelevant. First step of creating iconic performance is to play offense. What it is when we focus on experiences and not pressure tactics, we end up closing more sales. And how do we do that? We connect through story. Let me prove to you how powerful story is. By show of hands, how many of us in the room have a Netflix subscription? All of us about, right? So you know what I'm talking about when I say, it's 10 o'clock, we can watch one more. 2 a.m., well, we might as well see how this thing ends, right? You know? Because we are story junkies. We love a great story, regardless of the generation we're in. How we communicate has changed, but the fact that we are story junkies have not. So the question is, can you stop doing pressure tactics to close sales and start telling stories? Using narrative of customer success to move your business to the iconic level. A few months ago, I was invited to speak to 1,000 dentists. So in preparation for the speech, just like I prepared for this one, I went on 100 of their websites just to learn about their businesses. So the question I would have for you is, what do you think the over-under is of those 100 websites? How many of them had a picture something like that? Yeah, somebody said all of them. That's almost right. In fact, 99 of the 100 dentists had a picture of the product, had a picture of teeth. One dentist, however, simply had this. And the story of that young lady who came to this dentist and said, my husband has been serving in the military in Afghanistan for the last year. I have not seen him. And when he gets off the plane, I want to give him a smile he will never forget. So who do you connect with? The dentist that wants to show you product, so to speak, over and over and over, just like everybody else? Or the one that used a compelling narrative so that you understand the emotion that goes along with doing business? This is what happens when we focus on creating these incredible experiences. What we found in the study for Iconic was simply this. You know what customers want? They don't want you to underpromise and overdeliver. Customers want you to do what you said you would do when you said you would do it. Now look, if you're like me, there's something that's a little bit sad that makes you stand out. But it is what customers are looking for today more than ever. Do what you said you would do when you said you would do it.
I started playing golf when I was 10 years old, so I've been in the sun my whole life.
Last year, we noticed a spot on Brian's lip. We were very concerned, and we went to a dermatologist.
When I found out it was skin cancer, I was in the middle of a tournament. The dermatologist was recommending surgery, so I was going to miss time on the tour.
I saw a commercial for a treatment called Gentle Cure. It didn't require surgery and meant no time away from golf.
If you, like millions of others, are affected by skin cancer, it's important to know that surgery isn't the only option. There's another choice, Gentle Cure. Gentle Cure uses low-energy X-rays to kill cancer cells with a 99% cure rate. There's no cutting, no surgical scarring, and no downtime.
Thanks to Gentle Cure, my cancer is gone, and I didn't miss any time on the course.
We've been fortunate. We wanted to use our platform to get this message out. There are options, and patients deserve to know.
To learn more, call today or go to gentlecure.com.
Number 4 is surprising. Iconic organizations aren't afraid to go negative. It doesn't mean they are negative, but it means they are not afraid to know what's wrong. At many organizations, the customer comes in with a problem. What do? We fix the problem for that customer, but we haven't fixed the process that created that problem. Iconic organizations don't just placate the customer, they solve the problem that created it. That happens when you're willing to go a little bit negative. If you think about it, all disruption starts with dissatisfaction. There's a point where people are dissatisfied about how we're doing business. If we can eliminate that, we eliminate the challenge of disruption. Yet so many times our focus isn't where it ought to be. What we do when we go negative is we pay attention to the symptom, but we're also willing to drill deeply enough to find a solution. The fifth and final of the 5 factors of iconic performance is reciprocal respect. We demonstrate to others the respect that we hope to get in return. Have you ever noticed there's an interesting correlation between the Glassdoor and LinkedIn lists about the best places to work and the studies about the best customer experiences? Because when you take care of your people, they take care of your customers. What happens to you and your business if you take action on these things that we've talked about? So what happened to the Fairmont? After, through their hard work, they applied these principles. Here's the results they attained. Lowest turnover in the hospitality industry. Highest guest satisfaction scores in the entire hospitality industry. They're the most profitable of all properties in the chain. They got 5-star ratings from AAA and Forbes. They were named the best resort in America in Travel and Leisure magazine, and through a hospitality global organization, Jack Miller, the CEO, GM, was named the hotel executive for the world for the year. That's what can happen to your business when you take it to the ultimate level of distinction. That's what happens when you become iconic. So let me give you a specific example of someone that you can follow. Here's his resume. He was the 4th son of a poor family. He got such poor grades in school, teachers talked to his parents, maybe about even withdrawing him from the school. They didn't know that he was mentally equipped to continue in his traditional education. After he graduates, he tries to join the Army, and even during a period of conflict, the Army rejected him. So he gets a job and he gets laid off from his job. He starts his own business and it failed. He started another business and it failed, and it drove him into bankruptcy. So he got a friend to help finance it. Together they started a business. They had a blow up in their relationship and a feud, and he lost that business, which drove him into a nervous breakdown that required hospitalization. When he got out of the hospital, he started yet another business. It's kind of across the street, because that is the biography of Walt Disney. So if Disney can make it happen, if the Fairmont Hotel can make it happen, why not you? Thank you for the chance to meet you.
As always, the Distinctive Dermatologist is brought to you by our friends at Gentle Cure. Gentle Cure, tough on cancer, easy on skin. Thanks to the folks at Gentle Cure for being the sponsor for this program and their commitment to the ultimate customer experience, the ultimate patient experience, transcends everything they do because, as they say, it's first and always about the patient. So hopefully we made some points about the ultimate customer experience and about what you can do to stand out and make your clinic and your practice stand out that have significance and relevance for you. And by the way, please share this podcast. Please subscribe to our podcast. And you can use this podcast to show your entire team, your entire staff at the clinic, and have a discussion with them about what does constitute the ultimate patient experience and what can you do to deliver that to improve retention and referrals from the patients that you serve. We'll see you next week on the next edition of the Distinctive Dermatologist.
Thanks for listening, and join us next time for the Distinctive Dermatologist with Scott McKain.